There are no day and night cycles inside a match of Naraka. Instead, a time of day is randomly selected for each match. During eventide or nighttime, there are fireflies around the map that have set spawns, and consuming a firefly immediately gives you 50% rage charge or half of your ultimate. There are fireflies that spawn alone, and some that spawn in clusters, so in today's video, we'll cover every firefly on Perdoria and their important details. Just remember that not every firefly will spawn every time, especially in the clusters. Just like Azoth, Perdoria has firefly cages around the map that can spawn during any time of day. However, Perdoria has one more regular firefly spawn than Azoth, and 2 fewer firefly cage spawns. Perdoria also has no fireflies that are restricted to the inside of a cave that has to be opened with a key. Perdoria's fireflies tend to be in groups that are spread across wide areas, almost striking a balance between having many single flies totally on their own like Morris Isle, and having many clusters of 2 to 4 close fireflies like Azoth. We'll start at Imperium, just outside the north wall, where we can find a single lightning bug on its own, situated between the outer wall and a large rock. There's a possible firefly cage spawn to the northwest, and here's the firefly cage spawn map for Perdoria. There are up to 3 fireflies that can spawn inside the portal to the red longsword in the heart of Imperium. Once inside, there are fireflies on either side of the longsword next to the pillars, and 1 more firefly between the longsword and the rock behind it. On Imperium's northeastern outer wall, we have a lonely firefly right over here, underneath the tree with orange leaves. Southeast of that, between Imperium and Skygaze Cove, is the entrance to Crimson Cave, which has 2 fireflies at the south entrance, one on each side of the path leading into it. There's another one pretty close by to the east, close to the entrance to Skygaze Cove. If we head that direction and up the rocks, we'll find this firefly by itself beside this leafy tree. Inside Skygaze Cove at the northwestern corner is a single fly which can be found on this little plateau. Take advantage of this one. Directly north of that is another one on its own, down here between the mountain ridges next to the big rectangular hole in the ground. Then there's a firefly between Verdant Chasm and Tranquil Square, positioned amongst the foliage over here by the big curved tree. There's also a firefly cage that can spawn at the nearby riverbank. To the west of Verdant Chasm, we can find this fancy little gazebo on a hill with a firefly right behind it near the tree. Then if we continue over the ridgeline and drop down, there's another one in front of this large tree right here. We'll continue eastward, going over this large rock formation on the right, and we can find one hidden over here on this side of the rocks. Then to the northeast, across the river, we can find one more in this area, just kind of in the open. The next one is between Guardian's Rest and Moongaze Terrace, over here in the bushes against the rock wall where the path forks. Then if we head up and over this rock wall and continue a bit further south down this path, there's another firefly over this cliff edge down here next to this pink tree. For the next one, we'll be north of Arcadia above Cascade Creek. Here you can find this nice squared pavilion with a firefly just behind it, hiding in the green bushes. Then up the rock wall here is another one hiding in this foliage next to the rocks. Then if we head just a bit southwest, we can find the entrance to the Cliff Cave, which will have 1 firefly on the outside of it, right next to the pink tree here. North of Azoth Peak is Ferries' Pavilion, and if we jump down into this area, we'll find a fly right over here at the base of the cliff, next to the bigger tree. There are a few in the Ascended Pool area, the first being up here on the north side, near the top of the waterfall. The next one here is near the bottom of the waterfall, close to this tree with the purple bush beside it. Across the river is a very large tree with a firefly tucked away on the far side of it. And there's one more in this area. If we climb up the cliff behind the tree, we can find it chilling over here in a green bush against the rocks. West of the pool is a firefly just outside Jadeite Outlook's southern border, down here underneath this tree. Right outside Azoth Peak's northwestern wall is a little valley that holds a singular firefly, which can be found next to this big tree along the walking path. If we continue further along the same path that leads south, we'll come across another firefly in this area. It's hidden up on the rocks, between a couple little clusters of bamboo trees off the side of the path. This little rock stand is pointing in the direction of the next firefly, so if we just run straight this way and jump down, we'll land on this fly next to a purple bush. Continuing south, there's a fly right at the north edge of Tincture Woods. Dropping into the woods, the fly will be between the rock wall and a tree on this little slope. Then there's one just outside the woods to the south at this little loop on the map. Once here, look for the firefly on the main downhill path, kind of just hanging out over here in the open. The next one is very important, and it's at Ancient Stockade. This lone firefly can be accessed by breaking down these trees so they bust open the doorway to a little secret area. Firefly here can spawn during any time of day, and he's located in this corner over here near the southern entrance. There's a path that runs through Purity Chamber, and as it goes south, it curves around some rocks. We can find a firefly along this path just as it starts to curve, over here at the edge of the footpath. North of Coven Cavern is a little firefly duo, both surrounding this large flat rock. First is on the west side between purple and green bushes, and the second is on the opposite side and a little more obvious. The Coven Caverns south is another little firefly duo. The first is along the path leading to the rock shelter just before the river's end against the cliffside. And the second one is right inside the rock shelter, close to the purple bush in here. South of Twilight Pass, we have an area called Misty Glade, which has 5 possible firefly spawns. Look for the large stone pillars here, as they will each have a firefly spawn right next to them. There's also a firefly over here against this rock, hiding behind the carnivorous plant on the west side. There's another large stone pillar on the south side of Misty Glade, which has a firefly spawn right next to it. And you can see the next large stone pillar from here, which, you guessed it, has a firefly spawn right next to it. We can find the last firefly in this area by heading south, toward that little cavelet at the edge of the map. If we go just inside, we can find the 5th firefly here at Misty Glade. There's one pretty close to that cavelet, south of Rockfall Trail. It can be found next to a dead tree following the uphill path. Next, we'll be moving to the east side of the map, since this middle area, south of Imperium, all in here has no fireflies. Twilight Pass, Ascension Forum, even Statue Workshop over here is dry. We'll have to go into the brown part of the map for more flies. So east of Ascension Forum, we can find one firefly over here on this little rock rise, tucked away in some plants near the rock wall. Continuing east, the next one is over the cliff at the riverbank, directly over a cluster of tree roots or something. Across the river, outside the east side of Statue Workshop, we can find a fly up here near the orange bushes. And there's another one very close by in front of the medium-sized tree at the crossroads. A bit further southeast is another firefly up a level and hidden in some orange bushes over here. Then there's one down here next to a tree by the ridgeline outside the northwest of Mandate Yard. And there's a firefly by this tree with green and purple bushes beside it, directly north of Mandate Yard, pretty much straight off the path that leads up out of it. The last one in this area is a bit further along the path to the east. It'll be posted up by the dead trees over here against the rocks. A single firefly can be found north of the ballista in the southeast quadrant, down here by this tall tree. And for some reason, this one is flying high in the air, and you pretty much have to jump to get to it. Our final lightning bug of the day spawns on the text from Mercury River. Specifically, it's here, between the twisted trees and the rock wall. And with that, you now know where every single firefly on Perdoria is located. You've seen their physical location, as well as their place on the map, and you know the relative location based on name locations around the map. If you found this video helpful, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Hope you enjoyed this video, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one.